All right, this video is called Step-by-Step Habit Change. These are sort of the basic building blocks of changing any habit, whether you're trying to get rid of one or you're trying to build one, right? You know, you've got to go through these things, right? These iterations, these steps. So first of all, you've got to understand what you want to change, right? You've got to understand that you need to change or that you want to change. You've got to have that in your head, so you've got to have that as motivation. That's going to carry you forwards, right? And you've got to take your steps one after the other, right? So the first thing, you know, once you get to the stage where you understand that you've got to make the changes in your life, is you've got to start preparing. You know, a lot of people, they wake up on New Year's Day and they go, right, this is the day I'm going to change this, and this, right? Boom. They last a few days, everything goes out the window, and they're back feeling shit about themselves because they didn't change anything, right? So you've got to sort of say, well, I'm going to change this one thing, I'm going to focus on this one thing, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time thinking about it, preparing for it, understanding what I've got to do, and trying to understand what I should be expecting, right? Now, in any habit change, right, when you get to day one, you're in the mindset of the person who's got the habit, right? And if you've been doing this habit for a long time, you might not even understand, or you might not even fathom in your mind what it is like to be without this habit. You know, if you smoke, you don't understand what it's like not to be a smoker, right? If you drink, you don't know what it's like to be not a drinker, right? If you're overweight and you're trying to lose weight, you might not understand what it's like to be thin, or to eat a certain diet. You know, when I started out with the whole foods diet, the plant-based diet, it was like I read a lot of stuff about it. My biggest fear was that it was all about rabbit food, you know, eating loads of greens, not particularly fond of greens, eating bland, nasty food, right? And when I first started out, I did a few sort of half-arsed recipes that didn't turn out too bad, but for the most part of it, it was bland food that I was eating, right? Because I didn't know anything. My instinct led me to concentrate on fruit because I've got a sweet tooth. So, you know, I was eating a lot of fruit, a lot of bananas in particular. You know, you'll see some of my earlier videos, and I'm talking about eating like 15, 20 bananas a day because it was the only thing I could stomach, you know. But it's all a matter of perspective. I didn't understand what it was going to be like. I didn't understand what that type of food tasted like. I'd never been into a vegan restaurant. You know, it was like one of those things where, you know, I'd be going, vegans, no, get away from me, dirty, nasty food, you know. And I love vegan food now, so it's like 5 years later, different perspective, right? So the first step is preparation. It's preparing your mind more than anything else, right? Trying to, you know, there's loads of ways of doing this. You can go into forums, you know, take our forum, for instance. You can find so much information just by going through the old posts and seeing what other people have gone through in the first day or 2 or 3 days, right? If you're trying to go on a plant-based diet, there's plenty of forums out there for that. Any type of diet you want to do, if you're trying to quit smoking, if you're trying to quit gambling, if you're trying to, whatever you're trying to change in your life, there is a forum out there for it, and you can just spend a few days going through these posts, old posts, and you'll just concentrate on the people that you're trying to emulate. You know, you don't want to see people who are a year down the road, right? It makes no difference to you because it's far apart from where you're starting out, right? You want to look specifically at the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know. It's like in business, they say you should try to emulate the people who are on the next step up from you, right? You know, there's a thing called double your money, which is a way to get rich, right? And it's basically you start off with 1,000, then you go to 2,000, then 4,000, 8,000, 16, 32, and so on and so forth until you get to 1 million and something, whatever it is, right? And then you get to 2 million something. And they say when you're trying to figure out the next move. So if you're on eight grand, that's what you've got as working capital, and you're trying to get to the 16 grand level. You don't listen to people who are on the million, and they're trying to double from 1 million to 2 million, right? Because they're talking about things from a different perspective. It's the same thing here, right? When you're looking to change a habit, you want to concentrate, focus your energies on that first month, right? Those first 30 days, what people went through in those first 30 days. Then you've got an idea about what you can do, right? So you've got a notion in your head. This is where I'm trying to lead myself, right? This is what might happen. That might happen. You know, I might not be able to sleep. I might have these cravings. I might have people who are asking me awkward questions that I don't know how to answer, right? So you have got all these sort of concrete obstacles that might pop up in your way, right? Then you've got something that you can sort of say, well, if that happens, then I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to say this. I'm going to think this, right? I'm going to change my mind by doing this or that, right? You've got something concrete to work on. So that's one part of the preparation. Another part of the preparation is setting yourself a date so that you know this is the deadline, right? This is the day that I'm going to step across that line, right? And you know, you have to stick to that. If you go, well, this is the date, and then you get to the date and you go, I'm putting it off for it. You know, that's no good, right? It's not part of the preparation. You've got to, you know, you've done something wrong if you've got to that stage, right? Another thing is to look at what your reasons are for quitting, you know, and you know, there's several, like health reasons, financial reasons, relationship reasons, whatever it is. Write them down on a piece of paper, but write them down from the perspective of, you know, specific examples, right? The more specific you can get with these things, the better, because, you know, it's sticking in your head. You know, if you just go, well, I want to quit because of my health, what's that, you know? But if you say, I want to quit because of the pain in my sciatica, I want to quit because of that time that, you know, recently where I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought I was having a heart attack. That was what happened to me, you know, and it was like scared the shit out of me. So that was something that was in there, you know, for me. My son, right, really, really sort of specific example of him walking along the beach with his iPhone, going out for a drink, me and him, right, come back, wrestle on the beach, he's lost his iPhone, right, and then the next day with us hangovers, the two of us are looking on the beach, and I'm sat on the balcony, I get fed up with it, and he's just walking on this beach. But as I've sat there watching him, walking along the beach with his head down in the sand, right, still gets me, right, because it's a very specific example of something, you know, and you build it up in your own head for this, right? You know, that to anyone else doesn't mean fuck all, right? A young lad looking around for a thing, but it's my son. And, you know, I've invested a lot of emotional intensity into that story in my own head. The more I think about it, the more it gets to me and sort of thinks, well, that's a huge reason why I've done this. This is the huge reason why I will never drink again, right? I will never, ever drink again because of that thing, right? Because of that emotional attachment that I've put to that one story. And there's other things that I've got, right? You know, like the one you know, if you've heard me speaking about my son looking over on me on my deathbed, right? When I've fucked myself up with alcohol over those years, right? And he can't stand the smell that's coming off me, right? That's another one. And it's something that I've pushed a lot of emotional intensity on, right, by thinking about it over and over again. And every time you think about it, you embellish it a bit more, and you start thinking about, and you know, sometimes, you know, like I can feel it, you know, now even thinking about it, it's welling up in me, right? And it's starting to make me think I could burst into tears just by thinking, oh, do you get what I mean? So that's the level you have to get at, right, with these stories, right? That's part of your preparation, right? Part of the preparation then, so once you get past that, is the planning stage, right? And that's when you start to think, well, you know, these are the if-then statements. You start, well, if this happens, then I'm going to do that. On my first day of quitting drinking alcohol, right, as I said this before, don't try and quit. Don't try and, whether you're quitting drinking alcohol or making any big change in your life, don't try and do it on a day, you know, like don't try and do your first day of stopping eating cake on the day when your best friend is getting married, right? And she's got a big beautiful cake, or when your daughter has her birthday, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know. So choose your day wisely, right? Make sure that there's nothing, at least in the first 30 days, which is going to upset you too much. You know, sometimes you're just going to have these things and you can't help it, but that's just life, you know. C'est la vie. But try and prepare as much as you can. Try and plan as much as you can based on those preparations. And then the next step is just to set your expectations, you know, to try and, you know, this is going back to looking at the forums again and talking to other people and seeing what their experiences are, you know. This is why forums are a great way of doing this, because, you know, going to a forum, you're not going to get this kind of stuff. You know, people are in forums for, especially this kind of a forum, for specific reasons, right? They're doing this because they want to end a certain thing: quitting drinking alcohol, quitting smoking, losing weight, exercising more, you know, building muscle, whatever it is, right? There's going to be a forum on that, and that's where you're going to get this expectation. So you know that you're not going to be exactly the same as somebody else, but you've got an idea of where you're going to go, what you can expect, what obstacles you can expect, what uplifts you can expect, you know, how long you can expect the sleeplessness to last when you quit drinking alcohol, for instance, right? How long you can expect cravings to last when you sat there in the evening and, you know, you normally have a beer in your hand. Now you haven't got a beer in your hand and you're sort of thinking to yourself, I'm craving a beer, how long is this going to last, right? You know, talk about cravings another time. So it's setting your expectations in your brain before you start. And then finally, once you've done all that, right, then you step over the starting line. You know, most people, like I say, they get up in the morning, they think the night before, I'm sick of this, right, I don't want to do this anymore. And they get up in the morning and they go, today's the day, right? And they don't drink, right, or they don't smoke, or they decide to change their lives. And some people manage it, right? But it's only a very few minority of people. A lot of these people that will manage it will be the people who have already gone through a lot of changes in their lives. They've already gone through a lot of shit in their lives, right? And that has given them a good foundation for moving forwards. But most people will not do that. Most people will just go, they don't know where they're going. The stress is too much. The anxiety is too much, because they just don't know what to expect. They haven't planned anything. They don't know what the fuck is going to happen, you know. And that's it. It's out the window. So only when you've gone through all these things, right, the preparation, the planning, setting your own expectations, then you step over the starting line, and you have a much better chance of moving forwards from there, right? That's the next step, is just to move on, you know, take it one day at a time and gradually progress. That's what it's all about. It's about persevering day by day by day, and each day that goes by, you've progressed a bit more, right? You've got 2 days under your belt, 3 days under your belt. And it's not about counting the days. Counting the days can help you in the beginning, right? In the first 30 days, first 6 months, it can help you, right? Whatever you want to do. But it's about making that progress and getting to that stage where you go a day without thinking about the thing that you're trying to get rid of, right? You go 2 days then, you know, you go a week, you go a month, and you start thinking to yourself, when was the last time I thought about X? I can't remember. So that's the step-by-step approach to changing your habits. And as you can see, almost all of it happens before you change the habit, you know. You know, once if you're quitting drinking alcohol, I've said this over and over again, that once you don't put any more alcohol into your mouth, you've done that. That's the job, right? But most of the hard work that you will do is in those early days before you actually step across that line. That's the most important part of the work, because you're setting a good solid foundation for you to work off. And then when you do step over the line, you've got it in your head, you've got expectations set in your head, you know certain of the obstacles that are going to happen. You can't predict everything, you know, you don't know everything that's going to happen. You might, you know, you don't know everything you're going to think, you can't predict, you can't set all the expectations, but you're going to be in a much better position to start off that way. And then it's just taking it day by day, moving forwards, progressing, you know, very dynamic, you know, you'll have, it'll be like this. You'll have days when you're feeling fucking great about things, and then you'll have days when you're feeling fucking shit. You just don't want to do it no more, you know. But when you set expectations, when you try and look at things from positivity, when you have perseverance and when you have patience and you think about things from that onwards and upwards, looking forward to where you want to get, right, in the future, right, then that's going to carry you through those I don't want to do this shit days, right? That's going to carry you through. So I'm going to end it here, getting up to 15 minutes now. I think that's long enough for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. I hope you're going to comment down below and let me know what you think. Any other questions, I'll do reply videos. I love doing the reply videos. They're one of the best things that I can do because it's just a specific, you know, it's like doing the Q&As, but mini Q&As, and I can just post them up and boom, great. So I'll speak to you next time. Onwards and upwards. Take care. Bye now.